Okay, so a few notes on translation. This is the subject. Tutus agrees with Andras. Didontes is a participle from the verb didomi. It means giving. Xenos is the same thing as Xenos. It's just Herodotus' dialect. He tends to lengthen some vowels. Eislogus elthein, this is an idiom. It means to have a conversation or to enter into talks. Cambyses is still the subject of Keluon. So Cambyses, all of those other things, hemaste apopempsen, Keluon us, eislogus elthein, and Keluon us, didosi soi tautodora. The last bit's a little bit trickier. Chromenos, remember this is the verb, or the participle from the verb that means to use, and it's followed by a dative, so actually chromenos goes with hois. So it means literally using which things kai autos, he himself also, melista hedatai, takes great pleasure. Maybe a more idiomatic translation is something like, in the use of which he himself also takes great pleasure. Okay, so pause here, see if you can put it all together, and then check back when you think you've done, and I'll talk you through the translation. Okay, so here's the translation. As you go through it, have a look for examples of repetition. What words in particular, or what concepts is Herodotus repeating, and why do you think he's doing that? Hopefully you picked up on this emphasis on the gifts. There's also quite a lot of repetition of the idea of kingship, again, like there was in the last section. Again, have a think about why Herodotus is emphasising this concept particularly. I'm also going to underline or highlight a couple of other things which I think it's worth making a note about, and again, see if you can work out why those ones are so important. Okay, so we start with the fish eaters, but the first word that Herodotus actually gives us is eis at or amongst these men, i.e. the Ethiopians. So what he's doing there is bringing us back from his digression in the previous section to his main narrative. And then he really stresses the fact that the fish eaters are didontes tadora, are giving the gifts to the king of the Ethiopians. Giving the gifts, this is almost a tautology. It's overly emphatic. What do you think he's trying to emphasise there? So they give the gifts to the king, and then they say basileus, and their first word is also king. Remember that Cambyses has given them really strict instructions about what they're going to say. Is he trying to almost pull rank on the Ethiopian king, or really emphasise to the Ethiopian king that he is a king as well, just how important he is? It's definitely quite a statement that we learn he's the king of the Persians before we even find out what his name is. And the fish eaters say that Cambyses wants to become philos kai xenos. I've written your friend and guest. Maybe we could just translate it as your guest friend, or maybe something like your friend and ally would work as well. But again, this is almost tautologous, a philos and a xenos. He's being quite flattering there to the Ethiopian king. Remember that this is all a ploy. He's actually being quite deceitful. He's there as a spy. But by really emphasising the fact that he wants to be philos kai xenos, he's trying to pull the wool over the eyes of the Ethiopian king. And he says soi genesthai, he wants to become your friend. And that's repeated a bit lower down here when he says he's ordered us to give you these gifts. So by emphasising you, the fish eaters presumably are trying to make the Ethiopian king feel a bit special, like Cambyses has really singled him out for treatment. So again, it's this idea of flattery. So they've been sent to enter into talks and to give these gifts. And again, we've got Dora, Didosi again, repetition, emphasis of the idea of gifts. Obviously no mention of the real reason for them being there, which is to spy. And he says, or they say, that Cambyses himself, Melista, very greatly enjoys these gifts. Again, he's trying to create some kind of parity between the Ethiopian king and Cambyses. So the idea is that the Ethiopian king will hear that the great king Cambyses likes these gifts, and he'll be flattered that he's being rewarded with such amazing gifts as well, and he'll want to use them and enjoy them. So the whole speech of the fish eaters is about flattering the Ethiopian king, and it's about creating this impression of Cambyses as somebody really powerful, somebody whose intentions are very good, somebody who is genuinely very interested in the Ethiopian king, and somebody to whom the Ethiopian king can be sort of flattered to be treated as an equal. So Melista Hedatai, the Kai Autos, he himself also enjoys them.